I like to be tickled
Yeah.
and rubbed like a little girl.
Oh,
okay. I love that. Like tickle
Welcome
my
to the
hair,
man cave. Let's go.
my ears, like whatever. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times she's rubbing my arms, and yes, they go down your shirt. She's not like pulling on my whatever, but that's the thing,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's not nipplegate, but that's the massage.
Okay.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues.
All right, another episode of the Married Game Podcast. We're the voice you trust when it comes to lust, and today we have an amazing episode, one I'm so pumped. And frankly, as I started thinking about getting ready for this, I got like damn near giddy about this guest, and that is Nick Vertucci. Welcome to the Man Cave. Welcome to the Married Game.
Thanks for having me, man.
Bro.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm so pumped. Come here, Valentine. I know you want up here. I'm so pumped to have you here because, A, we've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I always look at it in the sense of like, you know, every artist, whether they're great or not, has all had influences. And a lot of times people, if they lead a movement, have a show, have a group, whatever, a lot of times people don't know where they learned a lot of the shit that they know or who they are. They don't know where it came from.
Right.
And dude, I've learned a lot from you.
Well, thanks, man.
And I'm gonna make you blush about things that I learned that actually, now that I'm 44 and I look back and go, dude, those were the things that actually helped me create this, or that was the thing that helped me create that.
I was your age when we met, 44, 45, I think.
Dude.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, 44, you're going to be 58 in 14 years. Yeah, 44.
Yeah, I'm 56 now, yes.
Yeah.
But that's what you used to tease me about.
Yeah.
And now I'm 2 years away from that, which is,
Bro.
dude, how did this happen? Seriously.
Well, it's so fun because, like, if you think about it, so if that was 12 years ago, I'm 44, I was 32.
Yeah.
And I had my little understanding of life, whatever that was. And you had a different one at 44.
Right.
And some of those things I was able to adopt. And now I look back and I'm seeing people look at me about some of the things I do the same way I looked at you.
Yeah.
So let's get into them. You're thinking, what are these things? And by the way, something for me, I hate mediocrity. I fucking hate average. I hate all that. And a lot of these things that I learned from you, if we could sum them up or just make it excellent. Just make it excellent and you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
You embody that in like everything that you do, whether it's building a business, you go, I don't want to cut corners. Let's make it right. If it's whatever it is. And so that, I didn't grasp these lessons early on like I was hoping to, but I definitely know them now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be some that will continue to percolate. So here's what I want to say. So basically, the punchline of this list right here is there was actually a time in my life that you really served and operated as a big brother to me.
Yeah.
Don't you feel that?
I remember. Yeah. We used to have a lot of in-depth talks, whether they were personal or business.
Yeah.
And we just, just evolved our friendship from there. Yeah. But that was probably the basis of it, I think. It was a good,
And it didn't feel like it was like, it just felt natural.
Yeah.
And our first, I'm going to tell our story of how we met, but this isn't necessarily, this is really about you. I want people to understand you because there's so much they can learn from you in your life.
Yeah.
But here's the things I've learned from you. Dude, you're the first guy I ever knew that had a man cave.
Is that right? Okay.
And you and I, we took a break. We were just busy doing our thing and took a break from like catching up with each other all the time. Mm-hmm. But when I built this, you were in my head on a lot of the stuff I was choosing or picking or thinking.
Yeah.
Without you even knowing.
Back to the point of, if you're going to build yourself a man cave, build it the way you would want it ultimately to be, instead of building it to a point and then working your way there. Because some people do that even in businesses, right?
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
Man cave from you. Cigars, learned that from you.
Okay.
Like I didn't smoke a lot of cigars. You fucking loved them.
Right.
Liberty, just your quest and desire for liberty, personal liberty, governmental liberty, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, you were saying that, and I was like, what is he even talking about? Not that, but you know what I mean? Like you were in it. Quality of life. Dude, that was something you've been preaching to me since, so you're like, bro, I'm about quality of life.
There's one thing that's the most, to me, the most valuable thing you can have out of every asset, any monetary, anything, and that is your time, which is quality of life.
Yeah, man.
Right.
The freedom to choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
Live how you want. That was my next point. Live like, dude, you didn't care what everybody else wanted.
Right.
You're like, what do I want?
Yeah.
Bro, that left an indelible mark on me. It's probably one of the core things of what I live today. Where did that come from? I'm going to get to this, but I want to know, where did that come from for you? Like, it's like in your DNA.
Keith, I think it really is just in my DNA, because if you ask me the origins of like how I became that way, I just have always been that way. Like, I never followed a trend. I always just was true to who I am. You see, I'm in these sweats and this t-shirt. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Even when I was running big businesses, I would go into meetings, even with people I didn't know, this way.
Yeah.
And as you remember, when we were doing the real estate stuff at the bus tours, if you look at my book, I'm wearing a hat backwards and a t-shirt on stage speaking, right? Well, holding a chair. These are all no-nos in public speaking. But what I've learned, and it was instinctually, is that people resonate with like authentic, like if you're authentic, and so that's just how I've always, I don't know, man, that's just how I've always rolled. I feel comfortable that way.
It's
I don't
so
pose.
attractive, man.
Yeah.
It makes people really lean in and go, well, why are you so confident to just say, well, no, but that's not what I want. I want this.
Yeah.
Was that just all the way ever since, or did you learn it from your dad? Like, it's rare. It's actually really rare in our society.
I've learned a lot of things from my dad, who passed away when I was 10, and believe it or not, there was a lot of stuff I learned. I don't know if that was really one of them. Like I said, I think it was just in my DNA. I wish I had a pivot point for you, story to say, hey, I learned it when I was following this trend, and then I realized, no, I've always beat to that drum. And a lot of time, and in the end, it's always worked out for me, but it's not always easy doing that, because when you buck the system, or you buck what everyone's doing or what they expect out of you, you will get pushback. You will find out who your friends are, right? But you have to want that enough to stick to it and not conform. I've always been someone to say, don't conform. Like, even when people talk about like living in this box of, go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a job. Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Like, if that's your journey, go for it. But that wasn't mine. I'm K through 12. None of that was for me. I took a lot of shit for going down a different path, but I knew within half of a semester in my first year of junior college, for me now, for all you people that have PhDs and masters, I love it. Congratulations, and I'm not being sarcastic, but I said, fuck this. Where am I going with this? And I went and I started a business. Yeah.
Dude, okay, bro, oh my God, there's so much. But the other way, what you guys don't know as well, other than Jesse, because I can have really deep conversations with Jesse about everything and anything. And I have really deep conversations with my buddy Garrett.
Yeah.
But the stimuli for my brain, when we sit out in the back there and smoke cigars or go down to the Ritz and with you and I, and just breaking the things down to the nth, you're my favorite human being to do that with. It's
exciting,
Oh, it's
that's how we met.
Yeah.
That's part of your story of why we met.
Yeah, okay, right.
But I'm not going to give any more of that away, but I know that's what we connected on.
Okay, all right. So, dude, live how you want. You're a pillow hunkerer, just like me.
Yeah, I'm always grabbing a pillow if I sit down.
Dude, I have a reputation amongst a lot of my buddies whenever we go to party or whatever. Of course, I love gummies, and but once I'm high enough, they'll be dancing, whatever. Dance club doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'll just be in the corner with a couple pillows.
Same.
And loving my life. A great thing, I have a wife that loves to dance for me. So I can sit there and she just dances, gets all the attention, and I love it.
It's perfect.
So you're a pillow hunker. I learned that from you.
Okay, I didn't know that, but this is how I'm comfortable.
But here's how.
Why wouldn't you sit without a pillow?
Because I had a mentor when I was 16 that made sure you always sat upright.
Posture,
everything.
all that shit. Yeah.
And so it's like, it's when I was breaking it down, because to me, this podcast and why people love it is because we just talk straight. We say the word blowjob, we say fuck, we talk about monogamy plus, we talk about whatever the fuck we want here.
Right.
But they don't know that the origin story came from a kid and a guy that wasn't that way. And you were probably, if not the biggest influence, right up next to the top of the biggest influence for me to think this way.
Yeah.
So I'm getting giddy about this. I'm like, shit. As from being postured to, no, just grab a fucking pillow and hunker down.
Yeah.
Small shift, but it's actually really big. You say, I'm going to do what I want to do. And you do what the fuck you want to do. I get wired into you or what?
It's just wired. I always have been that way. Like, I wish I had a riveting, pivoting moment.
Yeah. Okay.
For you.
Then here's just some other
But
ones.
we're going to keep it real, so that's why I'm,
Dude, I love that.
yeah.
I always have cash on me. Maybe I shouldn't be telling that in this world.
Yeah.
Unless they want to come get it, they'll get.
Well, you always have a
bit.
gun on you too, so it's okay.
Everything's great.
Right.
What'd you think of this fucking new
I was noticing that. Yeah.
Can you smell it?
Not from here.
The leather.
Yeah, no, I get the leather. Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the leather.
I understood what you meant.
Yeah, the leather.
Yeah.
The leather. I fucking love the leather. Okay, another thing. Being on time.
Yeah.
Dude, when I met you, you were always fucking... Now, I know this sounds like we're going through basic, like, didn't you learn this in second grade? Nobody's on time.
Yeah.
Almost virtually nobody. I'm a stickler for being on time. I learned that from you.
And I remember when I met you, you were a stickler for never being on time.
Never.
Yeah, it was your thing. Not your thing. It wasn't like you're doing it on purpose, but you had no regard for that. And again, I don't know why. Wasn't taught it, but I am like panicked about not being on time somewhere because I think it's rude not to be on time. And if I'm not going to be because of something, I will call you.
Yeah, you do.
And let you know. So it's, it's just something,
But there again, it's like you do these things that I learned that I now take pride in these things because they're different. They're not the norm. And they just happen to be really effective at like honoring people. I think you've done a really good job of that too.
Well,
you didn't realize this is going to be a chair of affirmation
no,
episode.
Geez, man, I'm flattered. But it's like this, like going back to the thing, it's like everybody is so indoctrined to conform, right? And to be exactly what either society tells you to be or someone that raised you, whatever it be. And don't get me wrong, like I still think there has to be a high level of a respect for other people, other things. It's not just like I'm going to march through life my way or the highway. I am, but I am going to do that respectfully. I will respect, your tendencies and your ways, but for me, like you said, being on time, that's just the thing I think you should be. And the conforming thing, like, God, I wish I talk so much about this. I talk about it on my podcast, a little bit in my book there. And it's just, you gotta be you, man. Like whatever you do, like think about this. Think about all the people that are doing either jobs or careers that they literally have no desire to get up to do. But they're doing it because that's what they were told, that's what they were taught, and they feel if they don't stay within that lane, they're failing. In my opinion, and respectfully, I think if you're doing that, you're failing.
Yeah.
Because you're living someone else's life. You got to live your life, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You got to live your life. And any time that I have tried to conform out of pressure from society or rules or anything else, it never felt right. I never felt like me, and I was never good at whatever that was.
Well, those are constraints in themselves that are going to push you in another direction.
Yeah.
Always have cash, be on time. The triple threat, bro. It's the most amazing smell ever.
Well, that's the minor thing,
but I was just thinking, how have I been influenced by this guy?
Yeah.
We all think I'm a lone wolf. I can do my own thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's cute and cool, but our eyes have seen something that has shaped us.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Keith. This isn't all like, DNA. There are a lot of things we haven't talked about that I have learned. And I have had life experience. And, talk about like, hey, like you're saying, triple threat, the cologne stuff or this or whatever. Like, I've talked about this too, and I think it's in my book. Duplication is powerful. There is people always say, you're just trying to be like this. Well, listen, if somebody's doing something that's massively successful, there is no reason why you can't go out there. I'm not talking plagiarism, like write someone's words in a book, but duplicate a success model, but then perfect it.
Yeah.
Even make it better.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, bro, that's another thing. You've done that.
Yeah.
I've seen you reinvent yourself 3 times. That's the other thing is what you can reinvent yourself at any time. I've learned that from you. You went from Coastline Micro.
Yeah, I lost that business in the dot-com crash.
You did the NV thing with the real estate thing, and then now you're just I'm going to hold off. I want to tell him what that is because I want you to tell him what that is. But the Hustler Casino Live thing with the cards and the poker and all the shit.
Sure, we'll talk about it.
But I watched you with my eyes reinvent yourself, and that made me believe.
And all totally different spaces.
Totally different state. But it was one common thread. It was you.
Yeah.
And that has always implanted in my brain that no matter, and I've made a bunch of pivots in my life too. And everything I've done, I've been actually like, hey, that's pretty fucking cool how you're doing that. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. But I saw that from you with my eyes, because you don't see it a lot. In fact, you see a lot of people talking shit. Like, are you ever going to figure out your thing? Well, I don't know. I just made a few $1 million trying to figure out my thing. What did you do?
Yeah.
Now I'm making more money doing my thing now. Is this my thing forever? I don't fucking know, but I'm doing really well in the process while you're sitting there judging me.
Yeah, no, right.
I learned that from you.
Yeah,
okay.
totally.
Omerta.
Omerta, the old Italian code of silence.
I've never broken it since you taught it to me.
That's awesome.
But you know I haven't. Like, you know, dude, I'm that guy.
You know more things about me than most people know, and I have never looked over my shoulder. And we won't go into it, but, you know, we had a little hiccup in our relationship.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah, no, okay, good.
Yeah.
We had a little hiccup in our relationship, and, you know, we both took the high road.
Yeah,
right? And,
I did.
And, you know, we had a little bit of uneasy moments, but I never worried about the omerta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what omerta is, guys. It's this word that basically means you're bound to secrecy to death.
It's an Italian code of silence of not being a rat.
Yeah. And
because is trust not everything in any kind of relationship, business, personal, love, but I mean, if you can't trust someone, there's nothing.
Dude, it's so true. Last thing here. Win. You're a winner.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of those.
Yeah.
So,
but Keith,
yeah.
Sorry to cut you off because that's not good communication, but I want to say this. I've had so many losses.
Well, we're going to talk about those. Yeah.
Because,
we're definitely getting
it's
into
like
that.
people don't understand that you see somebody that's winning or you see somebody at the top of something. Most successful people have failed more than they have succeeded, but your success speaks for itself, and you don't see those backstories.
That's so true, man. Well, okay, so I met you when two of our buddies who were pretty hot-headed and a little lower on the communication scale than you and I were at the time.
A lot lower.
Yeah. And they're getting in a tiff, and you and I, we come up onto the scene like we're just kind of starting to get to know each other. And maybe that's where we got each other's number. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, this seems like some pretty low-level communication.
Yeah, we were like big John McCarthy. We came in there and broke that shit up.
But it was at that point, I was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Dude, but you would use words like, hey, I'm in my feels, or like you just didn't fucking care what. If it made you look bad, you're just going to communicate, hey, this is kind of how I'm feeling. And it taught me that you can do that and be a really effective and still powerful and do that and not be like a little pussy.
No, you could be authentic and expose yourself to not be looking or saying the perfect thing that someone wants you. But if you own it, there's no pussy in that. Yeah,
is okay. So my topics today let's talk about winning. But it's reinventing yourself and not backing down. Two things that I think that you are absolutely fucking world class at, and that I believe most men don't reinvent themselves or they don't go after winning because of a few ideas. And so I want to run these things past you and get your opinion on them.
You shoot.
So we did go through a little spat where we just kind of disagreed.
Yes.
I'm going to be the guy to say that there was a lot of immaturity on my end, even though I was. When I swear to omerta, it means something to me, and my word really does mean like everything to me.
Right.
We went through a little thing, and then when we were kind of reaching back out to each other recently, I was thinking, there's one trait about Nick, actually a couple that I know about Nick that it's very rare in other people, and it's why I was so excited to bring on the show. Not just be like, hey, I learned a lot from this guy. A lot of what you see in my world is because of what I saw in his, but it's this spirit. And in the married game, we have one of the dials called the producer dial, and it's how to produce not only just resources, but winning. It's this spirit of I'm going to fucking win.
Yeah.
And when we started reconnecting, I'm like, I want to be around Nick because he's a winner, and there's so rare few. So your spirit of winning comes through, obviously, and you've reinvented yourself a number of times.
Yeah.
But your spirit of winning also comes through. I've seen you in those dark pits, and you did not back down when every single other person backed down. You didn't, and I saw you win.
Yeah, and in the very high cursory macro view of what you're saying is, we both know a certain person that we worked with who was a tyrant.
Yeah.
And
But hey, I consider him an angel now.
oh, he was the best thing that ever happened to me.
both of us.
For sure. Wouldn't have told you that at some points, right?
Yeah, of course.
Best thing that ever happened to me. Build more character and piss and vinegar in me than ever. Yeah, that I could have. You can't make that shit up what happened, right? But yeah, so that particular situation you're talking about, and again, how far you go into it, it's up to you. This is your show. But I will say this: I had a pivot. I had a point where, like, this was the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
This was a guy who would come after you at every level, personally, financially. There was no holes barred with the guy. And I was in a situation where I was the target of that, and I had everybody. Literally, I can't remember. Maybe you did say, I don't remember, but everyone was saying, like, dude, don't do it. Don't stand up on this one. Like, you just go focus on your business. Don't put this in, whatever it was. But that's where it came, like, and that's something that I could say I got from my father, and I'll tell you a story in a minute, and it's in the book, is I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to have to, when all the bullshit's over and you could say, oh, I did this smart thing, I did this, believe me, to stay out of grievances and to stay out of court and to stay out of a lot of things is the right thing to do. Sometimes if you stand on principle, it's the wrong decision. But there are certain points where you're being attacked to a point where I knew if I looked in that mirror when nobody was around and I had to look at myself, what could I live with? Could I because everyone tells a bullshit story. I'd say, oh, and make up things, or you could say how you made the right decision because you're wise and all this shit. But I knew that at the end of the day, when I looked in that mirror, I'm either going to say to myself, yeah, you stood up and maybe you did get slaughtered, or I backed down because I was a pussy. And I knew the consequences financially, personally, as we know, and a lot of things. And I said, let's go. Because I had no choice. Because for me, I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror and really know when no one's watching what I think of myself. Because everyone puts on a persona, they put on what you want them to think, but that's not sometimes the truth. Yeah. And for me, I really have to believe in what I'm doing.
Dude, that's what I saw you in the trench. I don't remember what I told you in the moment. Honestly,
I don't either.
When you decided to go, I was like, let's go. Yeah, but I don't remember it.
Me neither.
But I remember watching you, like you were out, quote unquote, outgunned, but you stood on your principle of what I remember you saying something like that. And they're like, I would never look at myself. I think you said this way. I do remember something to the effect of, I will never look at myself the same if I make the wrong decision.
It was the same concept, yeah. I could never live with myself. And I am wise enough to walk away from some things that are not worth the fight because your time is more important than them. Yeah. But this was different. Yeah. And this is what I will tell you, and I'll never forget this lesson that I learned. So, like I mentioned, my dad died when I was 10. He was 50. I came late. He was 60 when he died. But my dad had my dad was in the Mafia, okay? We moved from Chicago to California. That's a whole nother story. And he was really old school, old fashioned, greatest guy, tough as fucking nails. And he would take me around with him doing some collecting different things. And he would always talk to me. Well, when we moved to California, I started playing baseball from like 6 or 7 on to before he died. Well, I kept playing, but I never forget, I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I was little when I was that age. I mean, I was the littlest kid always, just a shrimp, but I was really good at baseball. Well, there was this one kid in the same league. He wasn't on my team, but he was always there, and there's a snack shop where you go to after, and I would go get this thing called a Chili Billy. Oh, yeah. Well, this kid would always fuck with me because he was a big bully, and he was big at the time for, when you're 8 or 9, right? Yeah. And I remember he was screwing with me one day, and my dad said to me, because I would look at my dad like, hey, you going to take care of this, right? And I never forget, he said to me, listen to me. He said, there's going to be a day I'm not here, and you're going to have to take care of yourself. Because if I fix all your problems, then you're not going to be able to fix your problems. You're going to need to make a decision. I'm not telling you what to do. You don't want to do it, but, and stick up for yourself, don't. But you got to live with those consequences either way. And it really set in for me. So like a week or two later, I couldn't tell you how long, I'd be making it up. But I'm sitting there and this kid screwing with me, throwing the ball, trying to knock the chips out of my hand. And he successfully knocked this little thing out of my hand. And I looked at my dad and he just went like this and just like, I don't know. And I was scared shitless, Keith. And I just said, fuck it. And I bum rushed him, tackled him, and was just wailing on him. I'm sure he would have got the best of me once he got his bearings. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is I felt being pulled up by my belt, my baseball belt, and it was the other kid's dad pulling me off this kid and like whatever, and started giving me shit. My dad stepped up. My dad wasn't that tall, and he stepped up and said, hey, that little fucker deserved it. Back off. This is between them. And I'll never forget when we walked away, we were walking back to the car. Dude, I felt like the heavyweight champ of the world. Seriously. I literally like, and it's not like I became a fighter, none of that.
Yeah.
But I knew then, like, you know, never start anything, because he told me that.
Yeah.
Never be that guy,
yeah.
but never get rolled over.
Oh,
so,
man.
you know, it's like that was my moment with Fatty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, bro, but that says what you've been through in your life.
Yeah.
Because you've kept like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Well, hey, that story is in this book right here that you wrote. It's called 7-Figure Decisions, Having the Balls to Succeed by Nick Vertucci.
Yeah.
I read this when we were mad at each other.
Oh, nice.
And I texted you.
Did you?
Well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm like, well done. And you did the story perfect justice in here.
Yeah.
And I remember the line where you came up with the title of this book, 7-Figure Decisions, and the guy was basically saying, hey, let's, you know what I mean, you're going to need to make a decision.
Want me to tell you how that came up?
Yeah.
You sure? Because I don't want to do all the talking.
I can get right to the point of it, and then you can elaborate on it.
Yeah, do it.
Because you were basically on the phone with the guy, and he basically said, listen, we can keep going like this, you're going to get crushed, or you can maybe kind of join me. That was basically... Why don't you tell it now that you have the details?
I'll do it really fast.
Okay, do it fast. Well, because there's something I really want you to dive into.
Okay, I'm gonna do it really fast.
Okay,
really
but it doesn't
fast.
have to be really fast.
No, but still,
Okay.
let's not like linger on all this shit. So, yeah. So I got attacked. At first, it was legally, and he was suing me, which at this point I hadn't countersued him yet. Which that's a whole nother story. Whatever.
Yeah.
And my mother had passed away during my first event, bus tour, and he reached out to me via DM or something and tried to have like a friend moment because he was a close friend at one point, and said we should talk. So, you know, I was sitting talking with him, and basically in a nutshell, he came. What I didn't realize was that he feared me competing with him, because that's what eventually happened and was happening, and that's why he came after me. But he said to me, you know, either we could, kind of join forces, like if you hire someone, you check with me, we work together. And he was doing that, and because he said I had two options, and I said, okay, so paraphrasing layman's terms, like I need to check with you before I can make a decision in my business. And he's like, well, you're putting it that way, but you know, more like Apple and Microsoft. And I'm like, all right, I'm not like in love with this first option. What's the second one? And he said, well, you can go out of business and be done with it. And I said, okay, so those are my two options. And he said, Nick, hold on. He goes, I know how you are, and I know what you're thinking, but let me just point something out to you. This is going to be one of the biggest decisions of your life, because whether you know it or not, you are making a 7-figure decision, threatening me that if I didn't acquiesce to his demands, that he was going to, in his words, dismantle me financially. And so 7-Figure Decisions became the title of the book.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's the American story. This is the American story. That's why I loved it so much. When I read it, I'm like...
It's my personal story peppered in with success principles.
Yeah, it's success principles all in this, but the vibe was, I'm not going to let anybody tell me what to do. And you know what? He thought he was doing what he was supposed to do based off of his circumstances and his upbringing and whatever he's doing his thing. But you didn't care about that. You said, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm not going to check in with everybody. That's another thing I learned from you.
Yeah, my quote to him was, well, okay, I get the magnitude of my decision, but I will never answer to you about anything, and I'm not going anywhere, so I will see you in the end zone. Yeah. And we never spoke again until we spoke again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. It's the spirit of America, because there's people that are always trying to push us down. This liberty thing that's always kind of gone through you, and it's something that I believe deeply in. But when it came to reinventing yourself another time, the most recent reinvention.
Okay.
Because a lot of guys who watch this, yeah, they're not getting laid or they are trying to have a better marriage, but they're going through all the other shit that you and I as guys have gone through.
It's all the same basic shit. It's just
all of
whether it's personal or it's business or whatever, right?
Totally.
It's overcoming adversity and redefining yourself and being better.
Yeah, and not looking for the validation of man, looking for the validation of yourself, really.
As long as you keep that into perspective. You got to look at the validation for yourself, but you can't be an ignorant person and disregard people and other feelings and things. So you have to find the right path to be able to be yourself without being a complete dick.
Yeah, it's like thank you for your opinion about what I should with my life. I'm going to do something different, but I'm wishing you the best. And like with a heart of like love, like I hope you find your thing.
Yeah, I mean, a heart of love, but there is some piss and vinegar in there.
Yeah.
But it's just so the listeners aren't like, oh wow, yeah, you just trounce over everything in life to get what you want and be who you are. No.
Yeah.
You got to be respectful to your friends, to your family, to women, to children, all this stuff. But the second somebody wants to take that kindness because you're being kind about still doing your own thing, then fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay, because then now this is the point where no, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay, my time is my time, my life is my life, and now you've went too far. But that's the same thing my dad told me. Never start it.
Yeah.
Always end it. Always be the one to defend yourself.
I love it, man. Okay, so you've been a poker player ever since I've known you.
Yeah, recreationally.
Recreationally.
Yes.
And like you were like into it more than anybody I ever knew.
Which still was recreationally. Like I wasn't a professional poker player. I would play once a week.
Yeah.
On any time I had extra, I was playing poker from the age of like 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your obsession with poker kind of reminds me of my obsession with surfing. Like it's just this thing that you just like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And not a lot of people get it, but I got to do it. It makes my soul feel right.
Got it.
And I missed it for a lot of years. But dude, I remember you were high stakes, high limit, fucking whatever poker term there is. And I was like, oh, this guy's really into this thing.
Yeah.
You decided to shut the real estate stuff down and move into this new type of thing. Now, I understand when I say you decided to shut this real estate thing and move this thing, there is a whole story. There is a lot of losses. There's a lot of dings, body blows.
That was another business I started, and it was starting to tank because of the industry regulations, and then COVID hit. So it was a no choice.
Because you were live events. It was a lot of
live events. It took me out, took my legs out. I lost millions of dollars in this process, and sat there with a K-12 education saying, okay, what's next?
Nick, I got to tell you, dude, that now that I've done very differently structured businesses, even in the education world, I still look at that one, and I know some guys that are kind of still doing it, and I just go, no fucking thank you. Like, it seems like it would be the hardest thing in the world to pull off. And the stress level that we experienced even doing it together and what I saw you going through versus even the hard stuff I go through now in building it, I just go, that was an animal that I don't have any love for anymore.
Let me put it to you this way.
Okay. You agree with that?
Oh, God.
Okay.
10x. 10x, bro. At the time, it was my passion. And there was a reason for it tied into that other story.
Yeah.
And really, the smallest of slightest of percentages of people that start that don't make it.
Yeah.
It's just too daunting, too hard, too much money turning, and most people don't have the gut for it. If they fuck up a market or two, they're out. Too much money. So it kind of happened with fairy dust, and maybe it was the piss and vinegar, the rocket fuel that was behind me because of this situation. I don't know, Keith. I enjoyed it for a short time because it was exciting, but and there was so many moving parts to it that at some point during that, it's like I was in bondage to it.
Yeah.
And I'd stopped enjoying it, and there was so many other things that were negative about it. And you know what? I don't begrudge it. I made a ton of money. I helped a lot of people. And I did something that not a lot of people could accomplish at the level that we did it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were with me for a while. And, but I wouldn't want to fucking do one event ever for free for 10 million. I hate it. I wouldn't want to. have no passion for it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Again, sometime unanswered prayers are like your blessing because, I lost a tech business. Lost again millions of dollars. It's like, dude, when you say I'm a winner, man, I have so many,
for
so many dips. But again, these were the worst times of my life, but they were the most defining character building times that I would never change. But I don't fucking want to do it again.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain in there, bro.
But you know what's so cool about though? Is because there's other guys that are reinventing themselves, and some of them are just eating dicks right now, dude. They are down in the fucking gutter.
Yeah.
The common thing amongst all those was you and your spirit to say, I'm going to make this work. And that's what I want to highlight here.
Okay.
And that's the spirit that I think every guy should have. And that is,
Right.
my back's against the wall. Now, one might want to look and go, man, I've created this pattern a number of times in my life. Is this me creating this? I'm sure you probably sat there and considered and go, well, hey, man, if this has happened 3 times, I'm also the constant in that one, too. I'm the constant.
I made a lot of mistakes, and every one of them.
So,
if you want to talk about them, you ask me, and I'm more candid about my mistakes than I am my success.
I want to talk about, because the energy I feel from you now, and I've now known you 12?
Whatever that is.
Let's say 12 or 13 years.
Right.
And through ups and downs, through sideways, we've both reinvented ourselves a couple times, whatever. This new energy from you and what you're doing now with Hustler Casino Live and the poker world and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You seem way more happy and at peace and in congruency with who you are.
It's the first business I love.
You love it.
This is the first one I love.
But so I want to tell the people now. So you are a professional poker player, like you're an actual player in your league.
Yeah, I'm
and
a professional
you own
player.
the league. Will you tell the story of how this is? I love the other stories. This is my favorite one so far about what I've seen you do, and I know I'm in a different place in how I'm looking at you to watch you go through this.
Yeah.
But the congruence, the authenticity. When we connected back up and you're showing me what you're doing, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to become a billionaire doing this because it's so in line with what you do. But tell them what Hustler Casino Live is, and if you want to say how you got into it and what it was, because, again, similar story. You kind of said you tried. I'm going to sum it up with, I tried to be nice. I kind of got pushed out, and I thought, well, I'm going to go create my own thing then.
Yeah.
And then you made it better.
It's the second time that happened to me.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah, and then I made it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hustler Casino Live is a cash poker show that's run on YouTube 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific. And we are the #1 poker show in the world, but how that happened was what you're looking for is this. What you're looking for, what you want from me is this.
This is what you're looking for.
This is what you want.
Right.
So I was playing poker, like you mentioned, running these businesses, and I was running my real estate training company at the time. I was playing on because my show is a live stream. I got invited to play on a live stream show at another show, nothing to do with me, just come play where people watch you.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. Now, I still was a recreational player, and I still was running my business.
Were you winning that? Or you winning
not at first.
Okay.
Because the funny part of the story is I was totally a recreational player, but the game I was playing in, because I had some dough, was the Friday game, which was, and this was live at the bike, at the Bicycle Casino, and they built the game around me. I was the spot, the mark. I was the non-professional, and I was playing with these killers. And it didn't take me long to realize that I didn't know, all these years I played poker, that I didn't know shit about really the layers of poker. But that's what interests me. So now that I could see, at first I wasn't winning, but now that I could see the hands, I could see what they were doing, none of it made any sense to me because it was at another level. And then I started, but I still was running my business, so I started really digging into it, and then I started training and getting coached by someone, but just at a very light peppered, like not deep yet.
Yeah.
And I was playing the show, and I started to win. And then I went into the Tuesday game, which was not all killers, and I was crushing. Well, what happened was there's a guy that was one of 4 or 5 partners. His name's Ryan, and he was the one who put the games together. So him and I became friends, and he needed me because he built the game around me. So I was being used, right?
Yeah.
Which is okay because I loved it. And but as I sat there in this live stream, I'm a businessman. So I'm watching this show, like when I'd watch it back, and like the audio and the video was And they were the only game in town. And this was like, I'm looking at this going, wow, this could be big.
Yeah.
And so I would ask Ryan, like, why is your production so shitty? Why don't you have advertisement on this felt that you're monetizing?
Yeah.
Why don't you sell ads? Like, what are you doing? Because they had this antiquated paywall. So he would just share with me, I have these partners, they don't want to put money in it, they're coast, they're lazy. basically like that. So we became friends. Now, he started to become more disgruntled. We're talking a year or two in of me playing this show. And they knew that he came to me, and I'm fast forwarding this. He came to me and said, Nick, what would you do? Back to our original point. What would you do if you were doing this? This is what I love, but I don't love who I do it with, and I can't grow. I can't be who I want to be. And I said, Ryan, I'll never tell you what to do, but all I know, if it was me, I can't be in that environment. So you got to make that decision, because that was a big decision for him, you know?
Sure.
And he, to his credit, walked away, took whatever the payout was, walked away. Well, they knew we were close. So what happened was, one of the other owners there was a real dick, and he saw the relationship. So he started kind of ride me a little bit, like, because he was paranoid and had heard that I was going to start my own live stream. Not true. What I was approached was, would I want to fund it if Ryan did it? And I said, I'd think about it. So that got out. So I became a threat to them, which I was not a threat.
Yeah.
And so they benched me. This is after like 2 years of like playing every show.
And you're kind of the villain and with the character. You're a little bit of a character on this show.
Yeah,
right,
right.
right?
Yeah, I am, especially now.
No, now, but I'm talking about then.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
but
a
they
character.
benched me because they were threatened by me, and they used a different excuse to do that. And I had to get on a call with the other 3 or 4 partners to explain myself before I could get back on the show. And I was on this conference call being pelted, where I knew that they used a bullshit excuse, but it really was they wanted to take my temperature and warn me. So I went through the whole steps, and I hung.
When's that book coming out?
Oh, bro, I should write that.
Poker Felt Confessions.
I remember when I put my phone down, and I sat there for a minute, and I swear, just like thinking, and I went, oh, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my business was just winding down, and
Did it literally flip a switch in you?
Yeah, it was the same competitive juice, and because I'm very loyal too.
Yeah,
like
you
I'm not looking to like take people out and do
Yeah.
things and do that. And I called Ryan and I said, dude, let's go get a show. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of done with what I'm doing. Let's get a show. So I put together a business plan, took it to all the casinos. Long story short, we landed at Hustler Casino. And back to your point about man caves and doing everything great, our business model was this. I invested probably $300,000 or $400,000 in the technology to do it. Got a 2-year agreement with them, and instead of half-assing it and trying to work my way to better equipment, I said, let's build the best content show, make characters out of our players, and all the rest will come. The advertisements, everything else. And we literally launched August 3rd, I think, of 2021, or a year and a half in, and we have taken over the poker world. We're the #1 show. We have over 200,000 subscribers, massive advertisers and partnerships, and we're the first show to come out and put the content out free, because everyone else was doing it behind a paywall. If you want to watch, you got to pay. And well, you could watch the show at the other place, but then after that, you had to pay to watch all the other stuff. And my thing was, no. Let's get we know this, we've seen Facebook do it, we've seen all these companies. Let's get as many eyes on our product. And when you have eyes on your product, you have worth.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, and everything else just fell into place. And now, you know, I play 2 to 4 times a week on my show professionally. I play as a poker for a living, and I run the poker end of the business. You know, Ryan does the lineup still and the production and all that stuff, and I run the back end business end of it. We have a great partnership, and the rest is history.
Dude, I saw you commentating over on one of your clips, and I'm listening to you commentate, and I'm like, dude, this guy's built for this.
Yeah.
It's how quick your mind thinks that you were just riffling and rifling. Okay, what has been some of the quiet
Valentino,
quiet.
All
Come
right.
here, place. Down. What have been some of the what?
And nothing.
What are some of the challenges you've ran into starting this? Obviously, it hasn't been just unicorns and rainbows the whole time.
No, of course not. Like any business. Well, the first challenge is you got to risk in my case, I had to risk the investment.
Yeah.
You know, so that's, listen.
You always feel that. I don't
You
care how
always
much
feel
money
I don't care
you
how
have.
much money you have,
Yep.
right? Like you never want to lose money. And I tell people, and it's in the book, it's like, success is right on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Because we all have fear. We all have things that we're afraid of. We're afraid of failure. And so, I was also afraid of failure. Not that I was going to not be okay if I lost the money, But I didn't want to go start my own stream in the poker industry that I'm in now and not be a success after how I left. So that motivated me. So I had a lot of fear and all these things, and it's just about overcoming that. And, the challenges were getting players to come to our show and not the other show and to believe in our product. We had a lot of pushback from the other place, which started a lot of disinformation campaign about what we were doing and what they should be aware of. So we had to push through a lot of that negative connotation because we were a nothing burger and they had been there for years. 2005, they were the #1 show. And so we had to compete with getting off the ground. But it was one show at a time.
How did you get the good players to come over to your place?
Because Ryan, my partner, is the best game builder in the business. And when he builds a game, people want to play if you're a poker player.
He has that reputation just amongst the players.
He has that. He built the other place, Live at the Bike. Their success that they had was because of him. And that's how short-sighted they were. They didn't want to pay him more, and he was doing mostly all the work. He was the lifeline of that business. That's how short-sighted. Like if you're in business and you're short-sighted that way, or you don't want to invest in your business, you don't want to work hard and put the sweat equity in, you're not going to make it. And if you do make it, you're not going to be the best.
Yeah.
And so how we got that was him.
You say be the best. You used to have a phrase, bullshit, I'm the best in the business.
That came, for a reason. That was pattern interruption.
Pattern interruption. We don't have to get into it, but that phrase that you said, best in the business, that stuck with me as well. But I realized it wasn't just a desire or longing for it. It did actually take investment. And I learned that from you too. How it's so contrary to the way a lot of people do shit. But you're like, no, I'm going to build it great up front and do this. I'm not just going to work my way into it and try and make it better and better. Not everybody doesn't have the cash to do it, but it's a spirit of, I making this the best I possibly can?
Yeah, and it is the spirit. And let's be clear, sometimes people starting businesses, like when I started my tech business when I was 21 years old, I didn't have any resources to put anything into it. I was one guy with a phone and a communication skill, which was me.
Yeah.
And I built that from making some calls to sell some chips into a full systems integrator after years and all that, the story, whatever, it's in the book. But it's the spirit. Even when I was the one-man show with a 2-line phone, if you talk to me on the other end, I was it.
Yeah.
That's like I'm making calls across the country selling product. Like I'm it. They don't know I'm, whatever. It's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
It's like when I started the training company, you were with me. And I had to do my first videos. I had to hire a room full of people looking like they were getting on buses.
Yeah.
Right? And you could say, oh, well, that's false. No, it isn't. That's marketing.
Yeah.
And you have to fake it till you make it sometimes. Now, when you do find success and you do have capital, well, that's like this business. I was able to put it in there. So I didn't have to start from scratch, but there's still risk.
Of course. Well, and reputational risk is usually the biggest
more important
thing.
to me than the monetary risk.
It was. Yeah.
Like I'm not going to fail.
I don't want my buddies to look at me and go,
no way. I don't give a shit if I got to play poker for 24 hours straight, and to make this work, I'll do whatever it takes.
But that's the spirit and energy that takes a guy from broke to have some cash, or to have a little bit of cash to have a lot of cash. And one of our dials is the producer dial. How do you become a greater producer? Because your wife doesn't want to live in cloth seats forever. She wants leather. You know what I mean?
Of course.
She wants to upgrade. You're the ultimate spirit of it. I want to say another story that I absolutely loved, and it's in the spirit of ingenuity and disruption. You're actually really good at that, ingenuity and disruption. When you used to pick up the phone, what was the sales place you saw? Was it mattresses or was it refrigerators?
Oh no, I was on the floor selling washers, dryers, and big screens.
What was it called?
Phil and Jim's TV and appliance.
Phil and Jim's, yeah.
I was 19 or 20 years old and I was doing retail sales.
Okay, but this is the best part, dude. You would pick up the phone, and when people call, like, yeah, you have this model, yeah. Ask for Nick when you come in.
Of course.
Well, I know, but it was that spirit of ingenuity, of course, to you.
Yeah.
People get afraid, and they're afraid of the reputation. Most people fold. You didn't.
Yeah. Guess what else I did?
What?
So we would have girls that worked in the office, and I'm not going there. We have girls that worked in the office, and they would answer the phone more than we would.
Okay.
Guess who bought them lunch on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Of course.
When
When you
did you
come
learn
in,
that?
ask for Nick. Because if you do, then I get my lunch free tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've always seen that angle. And it's almost like this X-ray vision of seeing what people actually want and how they actually want to feel. You're not perfect, obviously.
No. That is another show, bro.
You're like, bro, I'm 40 out of 100. Well, most people are 2 out of 100.
Right.
So you're fucking world class.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
The other 60 are just good times.
Oh, man. What is your funnest memory of you and I ever having together?
Wow. Dude, you caught me off guard with that because we had so many. My funnest memory, if I'm just gonna say it.
Share it all. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. You.
I have a.
Listen, I'll tell you my funnest memory.
Okay.
You wanted to learn how to be the biggest pickup artist in the world.
Yeah.
That was your thing, not mine.
Yeah.
That shit also came natural to me because it's so obvious to me
Yeah.
and some of the things, right? But there was a book that was written called The Game by Lee Strauss.
Neil Strauss.
Neil Strauss. Yeah, his brother is the other guy. And
Mr. Strauss.
Yeah,
His daughter?
it's a long line of Strausses. So
Oh, that's son of Mr. Strauss, right?
yeah.
We didn't go to high school together.
We went to me and the Strausses went to different schools together. So, you were looking for that. You can pull it. Yeah, I get it.
I couldn't find it.
That's okay. It's okay. This is top level shit.
I know, it's the elite.
Yeah. So you would talk to me about that all the time. Hey, Nikki, hey,
I was sarging and
it's
fucking
called
like
sarging. So for those of you who don't know, in the book it's called sarging, which means going to pick up girls, a technique.
Yeah.
We also use the term sarging, like are you lying to me? Are you sarging me? Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
use it differently.
Yeah.
All right. So you would you had the opening, you were the can opener,
Yeah.
because that was what you were.
I could open
was.
anybody.
Yeah, the middle game was you were so bad. So we would talk about this. So one night we went out to Huntington Beach to the bars.
Yeah.
And we took the guy that when he was not our enemy yet.
Yeah.
Who thought he was the coolest guy and the biggest
town.
chick picker
Yeah.
upper ever, which this guy had zero game. Okay.
He was struggling at that time for sure.
Our goal was not to go in there and to close.
Yeah.
Because we all had our relationships, but we wanted to go in there to test all these practices and to whatever. So you and I went into a bar with that guy, and he stood there like the chump that holds the drink and doesn't know what to say to anyone, and you and I went to work.
Yeah.
And we came up with the gay card.
Oh my
You
God.
and I
That
got
was so
around
funny.
a bunch of girls. We did a bunch of other stuff too, but we did the whole gay thing.
Yeah.
And that we were gay, and they were so intrigued by
Loved it.
But we were going back and forth, but we were sarging them, and they were dying to convert us back to being straight,
Yeah.
if you remember, right?
I do remember.
And I'll never forget one part of that too, which was hysterical, is you were sarging some girl, and her boyfriend came up and he said, "Hey, you like your chin?"
Oh my God.
You remember that? Yeah. And you go, "What?" "Yeah." He goes, "Well, then you better stop talking to my girl," because he's going to punch you in the chin.
Yeah.
And it was one of the funnest nights ever. And then we just had access to about probably 10 or 11 of the girls, our pick, but we went home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I do
then we
remember
talked
that.
about it all the way home. We debriefed.
Yeah, that's something you and I have always loved doing is debriefing. Okay, in that situation, what happened? What did she say? What happened there? We would do it over business. We would do it over fucking the debriefs have been a joy. Mm-hmm. We've even been debriefing lately, and it's bringing up all that debrief joy.
Yeah,
anyhow.
I remember one of the lines that I used that night is there was this really hot-looking girl. She was tall, and I walked up to her, and I'm standing, and not up to her, but we were kind of standing next to her, and I go, "Hey, how's the weather up there?" And she looked at me like, "What a dick." And I said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "This is weird. Me and my buddies were talking. Remember this one? Who do you think cheats more, guys or girls? I have a reason for asking because I'm going through some right now." And she's like, "Oh, okay," blah, 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 blah. And started going, whatever. And all of a sudden, her high value, I'm a 10, I'm not going to talk to because I'm used to guys. Because most guys just come up to girls and they're holding their drink like everyone else.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. What do you do for a living?" Dude, you got a 10 in a bar. She's heard that 80,000 times already that night.
Yeah.
You got to come up with something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You learned this deep in the fucking heart of the strip clubs as a kid, didn't you?
Well, first of all, I hate strip clubs.
I know you do.
Yeah, to me...
Let me tell the story why I said that.
Okay.
Because you probably feel like, what are you talking about?
No, okay.
You used to tell me back when I was single and sergeant and I was hitting strip clubs and banging strippers and all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You were like, hey, man, back when I was a kid, probably 18, 19, 21, you're like, I would just hang out and talk with the strippers. I was like, because they would think, are you not having fun? Because you didn't really enjoy being there. You're just like, whatever. And
I would not give somebody attention for money. No. I mean, no.
You're not giving money for attention.
Yeah, no.
And yet they would be like, well, who's this motherfucker?
Because I was different.
Yeah, that's exactly
need
right.
that.
That's why I'm saying you learned this deep in the heart of the strip clubs early on.
Yeah, that's because I really felt deep down, I am not going to be like the other 50,000 guys that walked in here and pretend like you like me.
Contrary.
Right? Like, no way. But I'm going to make you like me.
Yeah.
But it's going to be different. And
I'm
you're not going to be able
super
to get me. And then when you can't get me and we're really talking, then I'm interested. I'm interested in real shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I've always loved about you, bro. Is like we could talk about the realest of things and it didn't there was no agenda or ulterior motive. Like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's powerful, dude.
I agree.
All right, what's on the horizon for Hustler Casino Live? Well, before I ask you that, let me say I watch your reels and your stuff, and I'll jump in and look at some of your streams, and like I like following what you got going on.
Yeah.
Because you've always had this spirit of disruptor, contrarian. Let's do it not that way. Let's do it excellent.
Yeah.
Bro, the fucking set you built after you invested the $300,000 or $400,000. Didn't you go back and build another something?
Well, the casino actually stepped up and put about close to $500,000 into the set. It's this big crown in like a glass cage or glass bubble with red velvet in the back. I mean, everything is just because Larry Flint and his wife, he passed away recently, but that was their thing in their casino is everything is nuts on.
Yeah.
There's no like even the pictures are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, gold leaf, like everything in there is like done well. And so they built the stage accordingly, which thank God, because that's how I roll.
Yeah, well, Larry Flint, he's kind of like that same similar American story. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do. He took on the American government. Also,
he was not conforming to anyone.
It's what a fun fit.
Yeah.
But I watch it, and what I've seen you do in your show is exactly what you said. Like, there are characters in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and you're the villain.
It's a reality show. It's a real poker show. Listen, it's the highest stakes poker being played in the world that's being televised or streamed. And it's 5 days a week. And so if you love poker, you're going to love it. And it's called Hustler Casino Live, but it's a reality show. The characters, thousands of people watch live, and they're watching because this guy acts this way. This guy says this. They know everybody and they have their favorites and who they don't like. Mm-hmm. And they go into the chat while it's going live and they talk and they chat and they troll. And so this has become a poker reality show.
Yeah. It's I think the height of entertainment or the peak of entertainment you can offer somebody is that they think that your world's more interesting than theirs.
Right. And see, here's the thing.
And you've created that.
Here's the thing. So the other poker shows are great. There's a couple like Poker After Dark, Poker Go. You have to pay to watch their shit. But if you're a poker enthusiast, you'll love it. It's quiet. Everybody's really quiet and trying, and the commentators are talking like this. And if you love poker and poker strategy, you're going to love it. Mm-hmm. But it's boring because our people watch for the poker. There's hands that are $1 million hands. People, like, we have sometimes $8 million on the table with everyone has, like, these games are big, not all of them, but a lot of them, but there's bullshitting and talking and trolling and laughing and drinking. So people are watching great poker.
Wow.
But it's great. And I didn't want to put it in a silent studio. We built it where you can hear and see the casino behind you. So there's this vibe of action and being alive. That's why we're popular.
Dude. Bro, but it's a world. Like, it's like I want to step into your world and go, okay, what's going on? Who's the characters? So what's up with Nipplegate?
Oh, Nipplegate. Yeah, we've had a lot of controversies, but it's only grown our show. So this is the kind of crazy characters. We have a gal on the show. She goes by the name Sashimi. Okay. I don't even know if that's her real name.
Okay.
She's Japanese. She's the biggest character ever. And it was a Monday night. I was at home. I wasn't at the casino. I wasn't playing. And I wasn't even watching the show at the time, and I get a text, "Oh my God, what's happening on your show?" So I go to my phone real quick and I look, and I see Sashimi sitting there with a shirt open, like a silky shirt open with her tits out. And I'm like, oh, I panicked at first because like on YouTube, there's no nudity. You get a strike, you get 3 strikes, you're out. Like you get suspended. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm texting my staff, like what's going on now. I'm not a prude. It's not that I hated it. It's just that I didn't understand it. And like the chat's blowing up. Like everyone's going crazy, right?
How could they not?
Oh my God. And so then finally I realized, because someone told me, that it was a prosthetic. It looks so, I guess if you're at the table, it looked fake, but from the view of the stream on your phone or TV, it looked real.
Really?
And so she wore a prosthetic. It wasn't really her, just as a gimmick.
Wow.
And then the poker community blew up, of course, because there's this poker industry, like it's like a TMZ. It's a big industry, like people don't understand. And there's all these influencers and podcasts and everything. And so half the people and the feminists and a lot of people were like, oh my God. One guy even said, this is the end of Hustler Casino Live. They will never overcome this. Yeah, right. And then half the people loved it because all men watch. And so like stuff like that, you know, and then she came back because she took so much heat. She came back the next week in a nun outfit. So I called it Nipplegate.
TV. Yeah.
So I called it Nipplegate, and because I do a podcast, the Nick Vertucci show on YouTube, I had her in with the other guy that runs the Monday Game, and we talked about Nipplegate.
Oh my God! Now that's a really fucking funny story. I was thinking you get massages at the table, and I thought because she comes so close to your nipples, that was Nipplegate.
No.
Okay, so I'm clearly out of the loop on that one. But you get a little A lot of people like to talk shit on you that you get massages at the table every time you do it, right?
Yeah, half the guys are like, oh my God, Vertucci's getting another massage. Some of them are like, this is so gross, because I don't like, and I do it anyways, you know, back to whatever. And but I don't like a normal massage. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about a happy ending. I like to be tickled and rubbed like a little girl. Okay? I love that. Like tickle
Welcome
my
to
hair,
Man Cave. Let's go.
my ears, like whatever. And so a lot of times she's rubbing my arms, and yes, they go down your shirt. She's not like pulling on my whatever, but that's the thing, you know. And so that's not Nipplegate, but that's the massage.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm going to be there 5-6 hours. Might as well get a massage.
How
right?
often do you play there? It's Monday through Friday.
It's Monday through Friday. I play at least 2 days a week.
Got it.
Sometimes 3. When I first started, 4.
Got it.
Yeah.
You recently came out of a slump.
I just was in my biggest poker downswing. If you don't understand poker, you won't understand it. There's something called variance. If you're a really good poker player, you're probably going to win 65% of the time. That's how because cards are going to come how they come. So there is luck to it, and it's called variance. A good poker player will be able to sustain the variance, not get emotionally distraught and go on what they call poker term tilt, and just weather the storm and lose as least as you can until it ends. And it's a downswing. And I went 11 straight losses. Now you got to understand, the first year I took so much shit because there's some dude that started keeping track of all our results. Every show, every result, you can go onto it and see who won, who lost for the whole year, which was bad for us. Because if you're a winner, you don't want everyone to know what you won. And if you're a loser, you don't want to be embarrassed. So I hate this guy. Okay? But I was the second biggest winner for over a year in my own game, which I took a lot of heat for. Because I'm the owner, and they're like, oh, whoa, what is he doing? You know, and like nefarious, whatever. But what the fuck was my point? Oh, so my point was, so I could, at one point I won like 12 in a row. You know, I was winning like crazy, and you'd lose, win, lose. But this was like 11 in a row. I've been getting trolled since like 9. Like where like last night I won. I finally broke it. I won 18,000. But before I won, I had someone send me in balloons that had the number 11. Right?
You gotta love
3
that.
guys wore shirts, 10 in a row. You know, and you're in pain during this, so it's like you got to take it.
This is so good,
but
though,
this
dude.
is the type of shit that happens, and everyone's like, "Oh, I won a pot," and they're like, "You needed it," you know, like that kind of thing or whatever. So you take a lot of shit. Yeah,
you love that though, dude. Shit
do.
talking is the
I
man's
love dishing it out, but you have to be able to take it.
You gotta be able to. You've always been able to do that, man.
Yeah.
I imagine, and this is where I want to go with this. I want to do more shows with you and talk about different stuff. And there's so many. I mean, there's so many principles in your book that I think are amazing.
Yeah.
But what I don't see a lot of on whether it's podcasts, the world, or society, or anything is a lot of people talking about their losses and also talking about their wins, going, hey, listen, I got my ass kicked. Hey, but you want
to do a whole show someday on like how a successful person got there and all my losses? I'd be happy to do it. I have more losses than I do wins. My wins just are pretty big.
You've got big wins. You've got some heartbreaking losses, and I
emotionally and financially devastating. To one of them, I lost my first business, my computer business, when the .com crash happened. I lost everything plus millions of dollars. I actually considered not being here anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not all roses.
Yeah. Well, I like spotlighting that because I'm winning right now in a major way.
Yeah.
But I've taken so many kicks in the dick, and a lot of them were my own doing. If I'm being honest, that was me. And because I failed, I realized you just didn't have the skill to do it. Now you know what you made a mistake on. Okay, go back and let's do it again.
Sometimes it's market conditions, but it's always something to do with you.
Yeah.
It's just like this. It's like, I've learned this. Can you dogmatically say nothing lasts forever? No, I'm sure somebody's had something last forever. But in my life, I'll tell you, nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And you got to be prepared for that. And you got to, when you build success, the one thing I learned most is when you have success, you got to learn how to retain it and make it grow and not be a dumb shit and spend it all. And because when the storm comes, you got to be able to weather it. Yeah. And that's the wisdom that I had to learn the very, very hard way.
Yeah. Dude, I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love that you're on this show. I love that we're hanging out again. I really love you, dude. Like, genuinely from my heart.
All right. I guess I have to say I love you too,
no,
right?
you don't have to.
Well, I do.
But I know you do.
But it would be not right because like when I tell someone I love them, like a girl, and they don't say it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't like it.
So I want them to know where they can follow you, watch you, be inspired by you, all the things that, and I say that not because you're on the show. I brought you on the show because I feel those things. I am inspired by you. I have learned a lot. We even talk about certain things that we go through and go, hey man, I'm going through this. Oh shit, I hate, and it's always just a mentality thing.
It is.
Like, it's like a mindset, like, hey, see your value here, man. Why are you not? And then that's where I think that you've been really good in my ear, even as of late. Like, hey, are you seeing your value here?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
And it's good to have a guy be able to say that you respect.
Thank you. Well, to your question, if you want to watch the poker show, it's Hustler Casino Live.
Like that book right behind you.
On YouTube. You go there, please subscribe. That helps us. If you don't want to, it's okay.
I hope we get thousands and thousands
that would be
of
great.
subscriptions.
And you'll see a great reality poker show. And that's 5 days a week, 5 p.m. Pacific. If you want to see poker players being interviewed, you want to see fun skit stuff, and you want to see me do some stuff that I've started to do called the Envy Rants. So on my channel, you'll see me, you're going to see me analyzing hands. You'll see different poker clips. You'll see interviews. I like to interview people in my industry. But I've also now put together where I go and I talk about, like last week I talked about Chapter 2, Money Intelligence.
Yeah.
And I did 20 minutes on money intelligence about not only do you have to build wealth, but you have to know how to retain it and make it grow.
That's
and you have
actually
to have
a lot harder.
It's harder.
Way fucking harder.
It's more important too, because it's
takes more
easier to
discipline.
make money than it is right. It takes discipline to do the second thing. So like I did one, Your Mind is Your Strongest Muscle, which talks about overcoming fear, overcoming challenges and obstacles, and why people are successful and success principles. So you can go, it's on YouTube. It's called The Nick Vertucci Show. I would love for you to subscribe to that too and check it out. Maybe there'll be something there that'll help you. I don't know. Yeah. And if you don't like it, don't watch it anymore. No, really.
No, but
really, like it's, if you don't, great, but thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Nick. Wow.
Yeah.
This is what this spirit is what there's guys like you and I that are cut from our same cloth, but they were like I was when I was 32. And I was just finding my way. Like I knew how to make a little bit of money. I could kind of do some things. I was still very ignorant and immature about a lot of things. I didn't understand. That's another thing that you're very generous. If you were to talked about Nick Vertucci, you'd say he's a generous man. Now there may be some things that I disagree with you in the past on some decisions we made or whatever back then in my immaturity. But here I look now, I go,
wow. If you were in that position, you might have felt the same way.
I 100%.
So glad that
I felt that way.
Yeah.
Now.
But when you were there, you really felt the way you felt because you
100%.
hadn't had that experience yet to be in
100%.
that position.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's why people have their things.
Yeah, man.
Until we come back around, right?
And you just go, okay, hold on, let me work through that. But,
Yeah.
But I think we're in a really, I know for a fact, I still consider you such a dear friend to me, and I know on certain subjects, you would be the very first guy I ever call.
Yeah, thank you.
Go, hey,
Please
Nick.
do. I'd be happy to talk to you about anything.
So, guys, go follow all his stuff, and more importantly, learn these lessons and take the spirit of what's being had. That's why I had him on here, is because there's a spirit of what Nick Vertucci, who he is, that resonates deeply with me, but it resonates deeply with, I know, a lot of our guys who are here in America. You're wanting to build something awesome, keep that, grow that, live a life that you want to live on your terms. And man, this is the guy for me who has had so much positive influence. We've been through some things together where we've seen great examples of a bad way of doing things. We've probably both been bad examples of doing things, and a million times over, but that's the spirit of growth and grace and moving forward. So with that, glad you listened. Keep crushing it. That shit is contagious.